don't have the benefit of knowing exactly where we're going in the world. So this is the Covent Garden District. There's one of our ex-specters, this big gigantic demon up there in the sky. And one of the things that is very, very difficult about what we're doing in terms of creating, and it's why we had to create our own graphics engine for the game, is that everything you're seeing here, the monster placements, what monsters they are, in the case of monsters that actually use weapons, what weapons they're using, the layouts of the areas and what buildings are actually there is all completely randomly generated when you start a level. Every time you start a level, it's going to be slightly different. We like the fact that it gives us really close to the order of infinite replayability. It's something that we had great success with in the Diablo series, and something that we've never really seen anyone else replicate with a lot of success. So we've got all kinds of stuff going on here, and I'll talk about it as we see it happening. I think first and foremost, the biggest thing we noticed when we put the new GeForce 7800 in is that we got an incredible speed increase in the game. Basically great looking pixels at 3 frames a second, don't sell games, don't satisfy customers, and isn't good to have in your game. So for us, the faster the card, the higher the texture and frame buffer resolutions, more complex the lighting calculations, the farther the viewing distance, the better the experience. We have a lot going on. We throw a lot of particles around our world. That was one of the things where we actually built this kind of dark, bleak setting. London has been destroyed. We're 5 years after a demon apocalypse, about 25 to 30 years in the future. And so for us, it was important to have this devastated, demon-infested city, but then we wanted to have weapons that weren't your traditional first-person shooter feeling weapons, because we're not building an FPS, we're building an RPG. You can see here that Chris is equipping his character. We found some different stuff, some different items. Our weapons have a mod system where we not only put not only weapons that you find, but you can get ways to modify those weapons. Those show up on the weapons, not only in your inventory, but actually on the screen. When you're playing a game from the first-person perspective, your weapons tend to become, to a good extent, how you identify your character for yourself, even though we have a lot of ways to see your character. So we wanted to make sure that we actually modified the weapons with geometry, as well as how we apply different effects to the particle system, everything from the muzzle blast, to the explosions, to the particle streams. So, as you'll see when Chris goes through and just swaps some different weapons out while I'm talking, that we have really much less the concept of what we've seen in a lot of the games, especially the World War II shooters or the modern day shooters, where you've got certain very specific real-world weapons. For us, our game world is built around this combination of technology and magic, and we actually, in both design and creation for our weapons, think of them much more as spell delivery systems. So everything we have here right now, Chris has got a plague blaster in his right hand, a scorcher in his left hand, or a fire starter in his left hand, actually. So we're doing a lot of interesting things. The weapon in his left hand uses this rope technology that we created. It gives us a soft target, and also means that you can move around and not have to keep your reticle locked onto the monster as you move. Because for us, a very, very big part of the gameplay is that we're building an RPG and not an FPS. So your success in the game is determined by your character level, your skills, the weapons that you have, and not on your ability to be able to beat that 14-year-old down the street who has reflexes that I don't have anymore. So for us, all the weapon designs are built around concepts like soft target locking, homing missiles, area effect, just like you would build spells. And we just happen to throw our spells with a lot of really cool weapons. Now, another element that we obviously is a big, big deal that everybody's been talking about today is the shader model 3.0. And for us, we use SM3 features like static branching to manage shader complexity. With all of our material and lighting settings and options, we can have these uber shaders that can handle all these abilities, but then run optimized to our current objects features. Also, the longer shaders in SM3 leave room for even more graphical effects. And for us, graphics effects are really big because we like to add all the flash and the color in the game to be something that the player is generating. We do have these kind of cool, creepy elements. You'll see these little hell boils in the street. But when we're throwing a lot of color and lighting around, that's because the player is generating that. When we go into melee mode, you can see that we go into this third-person perspective. We've got a cricket bat there that we're using. A highly effective weapon, our little homage to Shaun of the Dead. So if you haven't seen it, you should leave the room now. Right now what we're doing is you're seeing a lot of stuff getting thrown on the screen, tons of particles. And really, we even saw so much advantage when we put in the new card. It was kind of a shocking to us. And we put it in and didn't know what to expect, and we're pleasantly surprised. Which again, I think is something that consumers can look forward to. You know, we pretty much were like a guy who just went out and bought one at the store. And we put it in and we saw the game that we're currently working on suddenly, amazingly much better. We've only been working on our engine for about a year, and we haven't had the benefit of working with this particular technology a long time. So for us to actually see this jump in performance that we're getting was a really big deal for us. Also, one of the big things that we have to do is, this is really the reason, one of the big reasons we had to create our own engine is for light map generation. All of our levels are created randomly on the fly. So that means that it goes through an algorithm, builds the level, and then at runtime, we have to light it. If you have specific questions, when we go to the question part, you can ask Chris, because he can tell you pretty closely how he does it. But one thing we noticed is that because we have to assemble that light map as we go, basically, when we put the GeForce 7800 in, it actually shortened our load time because it did all of that much faster. Something that we didn't expect, and it was this great side benefit of the card. Hardware shadow maps. We use hardware shadow maps to get 3% closer filtering on our shadow buffers. Results smoother, better looking, still inexpensive shadows. Chris and I were talking about it a little earlier. We actually got hardware shadows in a day. So one day we had hardware shadows. Very easy to work with from the developer side. Great benefit visually for the player. Also another thing, we have a lot of things that now we're excited about. We've been talking about, it's been in our pipeline that aren't implemented, but we'll be going in. High dynamic range rendering to better simulate real lighting and give a deep, vibrant look to our world. Our pipeline right now have HDR environment maps, sky textures, lighting enhancements, full screen effects. But really the biggest thing that for us that's been exciting about working with NVIDIA directly, and I said this earlier, but I want to reiterate, is the support that they give developers. And that's something that doesn't always understandably translate directly to the consumer, but we can make better games when we're working much more closely on the hardware side. We were a new studio. Started up just a little under 2 years ago, even though I like to think that we had a pretty good pedigree and people knew who we were. NVIDIA was there pretty close to day one saying, hey, are you guys doing a 3D game? You are, that's great. Let's work together and let's figure out what we can do to make your game be the best that it can. We are a company that builds technology to suit our gameplay. There's a lot of companies that build technology and then put games around the technology. We've always been kind of backwards at that. We come with a game concept and design, and then we build our technology around doing that. Certainly the relationship we've had with NVIDIA has helped that greatly, and I think really the proof is in the pudding. Here we see we've got the proof is in the pudding. My God, I sound old. My dad's 82. He'll be damn proud that I said that. Half the game, as I said, was important for us. It takes place in the London Underground. So again, all dynamically generated. You can see we've got, Chris is going to run down here to the bottom. And just because we're getting short on time, we're the last guys, but I love the game. If we can, I want to take questions while it's dark and Chris plays. Because also we love our game. That's the other thing too. So we like playing. So, or you can bring lights up a little bit, I guess. It's going to be hard. So, if anybody has any questions, is there going to be multiplayer? Yes, you bet. Multiplayer's in our blood. If we made a game without multiplayer, someone would get killed. We love multiplayer games. We've done them. I don't think I've ever made a game that hasn't been multiplayer. And this is no exception. We're going to be creating our own online gaming destination for Hellgate London. Working with our publishers to have a global presence with that. That will be a place where players can play. Also, something that's very different, if anyone here has played Guild Wars, it's an excellent example of the same type of online model we're looking at, which is that we have common areas where players congregate to share community and economy, But every time you go out to play the game, we put you into your own instance of the world. We put you into your own specifically created and generated gameplay space. So you get rid of all of those issues that people don't like about MMORPGs, camping, griefing, all that stuff. We have ways that's very simple for you to hook up with your friends, people in your guild, your community, go out and play together. So we like to think that we really get all the big benefits of having a lot of people playing a game online with each other, but we also get the benefits of only playing with who you want to and having the same type of gameplay experience that you look forward to when you go out to play. Come on, you can ask me hard questions. You can ask me, San Francisco Giants, I still believe. Whatever. Run with the mic, Oprah.
Yeah, question. You call this basically an RPG, but what we've seen so far from the demo is first-person shooting.
Well, what you're seeing is a game that's played from the first-person perspective, but here, for example, is the RPG that is inside the machine. As I'm going up in levels, I'm getting stat points that I'm putting towards statistics. All of the items are giving me shields, armor on the armor side here. The different weapons, you'll notice, point to a weapon there, Chris. We have, for example, the damage types that it has, what they do. You can see how many slots we have that I can modify with my weapons, with my mods that I get that go on and go into the weapons. I've got different defenses that work. I mean, this is definitely a highly collectible RPG at the core. The other thing, too, is that it looks like Chris is this completely kick-ass FPS player because he's blowing up all kinds of stuff while he's running around. The nice part is that none of that is really dependent on, trust me, I'm a terrible FPS player, and I love this game because it's not requiring me to have those Twitch skills. We love the first-person perspective because it's so immersive. It really brings you into the world. Gamers have shown us that this is the perspective they love to play from. And so what we want to do is to create this action RPG, highly randomized, with all of those RPG components that people love, building up your character, going through a storyline. Obviously, you're not seeing a lot of storyline here, so just running around and showing you the game. Getting skills, stats. We're in the skills sheet there, Chris, please. So here you see as we've gone through the game, actually right now we drop nodes that give you skills. We have different skills. We can use a spectral aura that he turns on and off. So it is an RPG. Trust me, it's an RPG. But we happen to just be playing it from the first-person perspective, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from that. And people seem to really like the fact that they have this nice hybrid. Way in the back.
Looking back at Diablo, is there anything about Diablo that you would say in retrospect, despite the fact that it was a tremendous success and a great game, is there anything about it that you would say was a negative or a technology limitation that you're actually, other than like the randomization, for example, you might say was a bit more limited back then, but is there anything you want to avoid about the Diablo gameplay experience or improve dramatically in Hellgate?
Yeah, I think that anybody who's made a game can look back and you smile when the game does well, but you shake your head and there's about 1,000 things you would have done differently if you had another 16 years to work on it. For us, we're really trying to push a lot of elements that were created in the Diablo series or hyped in the Diablo series to a lot of new heights. We've always done randomization with the Diablo series, but the methodology we're using right now is probably 10 times better in how it handles the creation of items, how the items work, leveling of items. The fact that we have the mod system. One of the big things that we've done, actually changed, specifically pointed to, is that we didn't feel like in the Diablo series we pushed the uniqueness of items enough. So one of the things we've done with the items in Hellgate London is push them very strongly in specific directions. The Molten Edge, the sword that Chris is using right now, is fire damage based. In Diablo, it would have been a physical damage weapon that had some extra fire damage. This is all fire damage. We expect people to be swapping weapons back and forth, modifying weapons, having a very different gameplay with the weapon game, with the item game in it. And that was something that we felt was there. I think the biggest limitation, to address that point, is the fact that Diablo games were 2D sprite-based games. There's a lot of stuff we wanted to be able to do that we couldn't. That certainly, we get to go to town with Hellgate London. I don't know how I'm doing time-wise. My clock is flashing 0, so that means get off.